2023, I think, is going to be special for many people.
Yeah.
But I don't think more so than the French, who are riding a wave pretty spectacularly at the moment. First game on the 8th of September against New Zealand. There'll probably be a lot of talk about 2007, but this French side under Fabien Galtier with Antoine Dupont as the World Player of the Year in a country as beautiful as this. That Eiffel Tower for us was lit green and gold. I'm not sure if you remember the photo. There was a green and before the final, the Eiffel Tower. And I'm assuming before 2023 in that opening game, it's going to be blue, white, and red for the French. Thoughts on France really being in a position in their home country to actually go on and win it?
I don't think there's been a better opportunity for France to go on and win it. You know, for quite a few years now, I think France have always played well, always been a difficult side to play against, but somehow the stars have aligned. It just seems now, over the last couple of years, you know, with the players that have got, with Fabien Galtier, with Sean Edwards from my old rugby league, he's doing some amazing work, and the team just seem so much assured now than they have before. I often would say, people would say to me, how do you think France are going to go today? And I would normally say, well, it all depends which team arrives, and because they could be sort of hit and miss, whereas now there just seems to be that consistency in play. There just seems to be that confidence. Their defence, you know, just seems so much assured now, and they just seem to be playing a type of rugby. I think that we've seen the old French teams play in the past where they've had that confidence and they know actually we can win. We showed with, you know, recent games, they've been playing some really good stuff, and I think there's going to be a lot of teams, you know, not looking forward to playing France because not just are they a great team. I mean, they're going to have so much support. You know, this place is just going to be buzzing because there's, when it comes to teams, you know, when a nation senses there's something there, they will get behind teams like never before. And I think that's going to be the case with this French team. And I think that's just going to give them extra confidence. You know, and wow, the first game is just going to be off the charts. Off the charts. I cannot wait to see that game because that is going to set the tone for the whole tournament. And I wouldn't want to be playing France in that first game.
But just on, you talk about a young French side, and I know Clive Woodward said it in 2003 when you guys won it. Jake did it with us in 2007. Steve Hansen did it with All Blacks in 2015. There's almost this mindset, particularly from a coaching perspective, you need experience. You need 8 to 10 players that have played 50 test matches for their country. And the average age of a Rugby World Cup winning squad is normally around 30, 31. This is a very different French side in terms of the age of which these players are playing at such a level. Playing in their home country, yes, they've had a great run over the last year or two. Is that an added level of pressure? Bar the fact that they're playing New Zealand in the opening game, but 2007, they were the underdogs that beat New Zealand. 2023 is potentially going to be a place where they're the favourites that are going to beat New Zealand, but it's now the pressure of being in front to a group of youngsters that maybe have experienced it at some points, but it's totally different in a Rugby World Cup where you've got 7 games to be at your best.
Yeah, and a lot of them won't have experienced it, but you know, as I've known, you know, if you're good enough, you know, it's a great place to be exposed to it, and that can bring out the best in you. And I honestly believe now that that's what will happen. I don't think a lot of those young players are going to go into the shell. I think they're going to use it as a great platform just to showcase what they're all about. And that's what's exciting because yes, in lots of teams you want senior players in there just to steady the ship, but you need that youth. You need players that will just go out there and play. And that's what gets crowds on the feet. You know, that's where the excitement comes, because there you've got young players who know there's something more. You're feeling your way through tournaments, you know, and you're getting excited by different things. And, you know, I honestly believe it's going to bring the best out of some of those young players, and they're going to thrive. And I can just imagine then the whole, again, there's certain things you're not sure how it's going to go, but once the media kicks in properly around that tournament, those guys are just going to be on a pedestal, and it's going to be tough to handle it.
Yeah.
But you've done it, you know, I've done it, lots of people have done it, and it's just made them, you know, and there is never greater experience for me than a World Cup and getting that opportunity.
And there will be a lot of pressure on the French.
Oh, huge.
On that France team is looking really good. If we look at other teams, England, you know, Eddie Jones, been there in 2003 when, you know, he lost against England. 2007, he was a consultant with South Africa when we won. 2015, he orchestrated probably the biggest upset in sporting history, let alone rugby history, when Japan beat South Africa in that opening game at Brighton. Where's that England side going into 2023? You know, they've had a fantastic series in the summer against Australia, where they came from a 1-0 to win a series, you know, 2-1 in Australia. Where's Eddie now in terms of 2023? There's obviously been a lot of pressure on him through a poor run after starting off phenomenally well.
Yeah.
How do you see England going through 2023?
Yeah, well, I think if you look back to the last World Cup, you know, there is a lot of disappointment. You know, the game against New Zealand, that is the best I've ever seen England play ever. And I'll take you back to 2003. I don't think we've ever played as well as that. So I've lost a World Cup final as well, and for me, it just makes you that more determined to go that one stage further. Unfortunately, since that World Cup, I don't think England have been at their best. But what I'm seeing more recently is that series win in Australia, I think, is massive. I think that is the boost the team needed. And we got a lot of talent, a lot of young players again, a lot of different combinations, still quite not sure how they are, but we've got a very good team. And Eddie Jones, you know, love him or hate him, you know, he's had some great results over the years, you know, and he has a way, it's almost, the World Cup would bring the best out in Eddie Jones. Yeah. Because he has got that experience. He knows how to deal with the pressure. If he needs to take some of the heat off the players, he'll do it and focus it all on himself. But also, you know, he's willing to drop players. He's willing to, you know, give young players an opportunity. And I think coming into this World Cup now, you know, England. Yeah, I mean, you've got to fancy yourself. It doesn't. Yeah. Sometimes you might not have had the best preparation or the best couple of years leading up to it, but it's a World Cup, and we do have some. You know, I believe we have some world-class players, and they will want to be at their best in the biggest tournament. So, you know, probably not too dissimilar to 2007. You know, it's just find a way to get through the pool stages, and then from then on in, it's anybody's. And I do believe. On our day, we can beat anyone. Yeah. But it's you know how tough it is. It's easy to talk about it. It's another thing being in there. And as I say, the whole of France is just going to go absolute nuts for rugby. And you know what? I mean, it'd be great to be 20 years younger. Just to.
And you talk about England. They've probably got the easier route to a final. You've got France, New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland, potential topping their pools as one in first and second place. Two of those four teams don't go through to a semi-final. Ireland have never qualified for a semi-final of Rugby World Cup. South Africa as the champions, you know, a lot of pressure on Sia and his charges. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that similar type of pressure that you had in 2003, that I had in 2011. New Zealand, you know, everyone is looking at where do they go after what happened, you know, with Ireland beating them in the summer, which was, we talk about England beating New Zealand in a Rugby World Cup. I think it's probably one of the best performances I've seen against New Zealand side in New Zealand. So Ireland, you know, ranked number one team in the world, and it's looking, you know, really good for them. Australia, Wales, those are also. Is there any potential team? I know Japan probably not quite where they were in 2015, or potentially even 2019 when they became the first Asian side to progress to the knockout stages of a Rugby World Cup. Fiji, we know, are always dangerous. Is there sort of one team you think, you know, that looks to be a Japan of 2015, a Japan of 2019 that could potentially throw one of the big boys off the off the royal seat.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at Japan. You know, England against Japan. That's a potential banana skin. You know, we've seen it in the past. But these are the games I think as a player can be some of your toughest games because sometimes you can come in together. If you're playing against New Zealand or you're playing against South Africa, everything in you knows, like, this is a huge game. I've got to be my best. And sometimes, you know, for certain players, playing some of the smaller teams, you know, sometimes you can get a little bit complacent. And I think they're the toughest game. I think that's going to be potentially a banana skin for England because we know what they can do. And
no, thanks.
You know,
Thanks
maybe we can touch on that, but it's just the way they play, and sometimes they can catch you off guard. And this, you know, there's nothing really to lose for them because everybody's expecting England to win. So, you know, I think a year out, this is going to be one of the most open World Cups there's ever been, because I know France have come into form, but I'm massively excited about Ireland. You know, to do what Ireland have done, to win it. I've been lucky enough to win one game in New Zealand, and that was huge. Never been done before. But to do it back to back, to lose in the first game like Ireland did, and then come back and win it 2-1. Yeah. That is amazing. I almost felt Irish for that last game. It was one of those. You've got to celebrate like good rule. It doesn't matter if I'm not Irish. You know, one of the head coach, you know, Andy Farrell. You know, we played together rugby league for 10 years.
And 2007.
And 2007, and just the work that has been done there, and knowing him and what he's instilled in this Irish team. Yeah. I know that even though they've had success a year out, I know in him it's not enough. So I know he'll be pushing them. And so there's just going to be so many teams that actually on the day can win this. And that's what's going to make the tournament so exciting, because it's not just going to be about South Africa, New Zealand, Australia. There's so many teams. There's about 8-10 teams that all have a chance.
Realistically.
So make it really, really exciting.
And you talk about fine margins, you talk about excitement. French captain Antoine Dupont is the current Rugby World Player of the Year.
And rightly so.
World Rugby Player of the Year, and rightly so. In that series Down Under, we saw Henry Arundel of England come on, score an incredible try with his first touch of the ball in international rugby. Players that you think we are going to see either flourish at this World Cup or be a player that sets a different standard? Particularly from an English perspective, is there someone that you feel, or Northern Hemisphere, in terms of what we've seen now in the summer a couple of months ago? Yeah,
you know something, I'm really excited by Marcus Smith. I think being given the chance by England to... The way he plays, you look at him playing for Harlequins, he plays openly, he plays with flair, he just tries stuff. And for me, that's what rugby's all about. Yeah. You know, I know you've got to...
Stay in the structure.
There's got to be structure there. But also, just some of his footwork, some of his kicking, you know, little chips over, regathering. That's what excites me. That's what breaks teams down. And I think, you know, for a while, sort of last couple of years, I think England have lacked that, just been a bit too predictable. So I think having somebody like him there, you know, going into a World Cup, he will. I'm sure he will thrive off it. You know, he's playing really good rugby now, and as an outside back as well. Don't know about you, but I want to play with tens like that love to mix it up, do crossfield kicks or little kicks through, or just not scared to throw a 30-metre pass out. You know, that's what excites me about this tournament. You know, you're talking about Arundel. I'd love to see him start. You know, he came on 7 minutes, scored an amazing try. I'm thinking, wow, it was worth just watching the game for that moment alone. And it's not been picked to start. So I'm thinking, come on, Eddie, what's going on? But even guys, seasoned players like Itoje, you know, I'm sure guys like him, Tom Curry.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Just the consistency performance. And again, you know, it's all, for me, it's all about proving yourself on the world stage. Yeah. You know, it's all well and good what you do in England, Ireland, Scotland, South Africa. This is a world stage. This is where the best athletes come to show what they're capable of doing. And there's no hiding place. And it's there for all of us to see. And again, you know, I just think that the crowds, the support, the media, this is going to be the biggest World Cup ever. And I cannot wait for it to start.
You broke the mold a bit in terms of the rudimentary thought that people have about rugby players. You're one of the shortest guys in the field.
Good looking.
Good looking, you claiming that? Good looking. You could beat guys in a telephone booth in terms of the way you stepped. Billy could literally do anything. For me, Ches and Colby, 2019.
Unbelievable.
To score that try in the manner which he did, you know, Makazole Mapimpi obviously became the first South African player to ever score a try in a World Cup final, much like yourself in 2003. But I think that try that Cheslin scored down that right-hand side, you know, sort of going past Faz, stepping inside, and then Billy Vunipola missing that. He's a player for me that, even though everyone knows, much like you, even everyone knows what he's about, he's just unbelievable in the contact situation. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Yeah. He kicked a 50-meter drop goal in the top 14 final that Toulouse won 2 years ago. So he's a player for me that really watch out for South Africa. Again, a much more mature side than what we saw in 2019. Will Dwayne Vermeulen, you know, be one of the guys from a leadership perspective, be a little bit older. We have a youngster, Damien Willemse, who has done extremely well with the Stormers. He's come in and, you know, sort of in that multi-versatile opportunity in the back line, you know, at fullback, at inside centre, at 10. Faf de Klerk will probably be wearing his budgie smugglers at some point throughout the World Cup. And we do have a few youngsters. I think for me, Rico Ione, I think from the New Zealand side, a phenomenal player who had a phenomenal try scoring record on the wing, is now playing centre. Sevu Reece has been scoring some brilliant tries as well. Korobetti from Australia is a handful. Samu Karevi has come in and done really well. So tournaments to be made, and you know, what a platform to be able to show your name to the world in a country as beautiful as this. And a year out from the World Cup, 365 days, I'd love for us to be potentially taking in this view. You know, looking at Sacré-Cœur or Tour d'Eiffel, maybe, I mean, sharing something, a drink of sorts, and reflecting on the pinnacle of rugby. And I think we're fortunate to have been there. I think both of us will hopefully be in Paris in a year's time, and hopefully we'll see people celebrating the values of rugby. You know, the Mastercard logo in particular talks about passion and optimism, and how much better of a place to be able to, you know, explore those values in a Rugby World Cup, and maybe see more memories get made. I think you're an extremely proud Englishman and what you've been able to achieve for the game, but I think what rugby brings, particularly at a Rugby World Cup, is the combination of teams coming together. You know, sevens, you have it, you know, you have multinational, but literally at a World Cup, you have 8 weeks of cultures from all over the world coming together, experiencing probably one of the most incredibly culturally rich cities and countries in the world. There'll probably be a few croissants and crepe Nutellas being eaten. But hopefully we see a Rugby World Cup that, you know, becomes the best Rugby World Cup ever. It's going to be difficult to top Japan, but hopefully we see a Rugby World Cup that becomes the best one ever. Mr. Robinson, an absolute pleasure,
Really good
sir.
to see you.